Well, from the front lines to the corner office, how do CEOs see this economy? Well, joining us now, Wendy Wagaman. She is President and CEO of American Equity Investments Life Holding Company, and Bill George, former Chairman and CEO of Medtronic. I guess, Wendy, let me start with you first of all. You know, what we got from the tweets is a feeling that, okay, you know, we always talk about the economy slowing down or losing traction, but there are some bright spots out there and places that are feeling better from a year ago. How are you seeing things with your business?
Sure, absolutely there are some bright spots, and you know the volatility in the market sends people to safe money alternatives, and so in the insurance industry it's that kind of safety and assurance that we offer. And so you know, from a financial services standpoint, while it's difficult to invest and try to find yields that make sense, from a consumer standpoint we're offering the guarantees and the principal protection and really some competitive interest rates on certain products. So there are definitely some bright spots there.
And we picked you both not only for your, your intelligence and your insight, but also from where you are, right? Wendy in Iowa. Bill, I presume you're in Minneapolis. That's where you spend most of your time. You know, the Midwest, the upper Midwest has done pretty well. Commodity prices are up. You've got some gas plays up there. How are you guys fundamentally holding up? Do you see any weakness? Are you better off or worse than you were a year ago, in the region as a whole?
Well, the region booming in the Dakotas because of energy. Things are pretty tight elsewhere. But, there are a lot of companies doing really well nationally. But every time they do, somebody gets in their way. IBM and the tech stocks can't get H-1B visas. Boeing wants to expand in South Carolina, and NLRB is trying to shut down $1 billion plant. Exxon finds 1 billion barrels of oil in the Gulf, and they won't give them licenses to go explore it. This is worth tremendous jobs to the economy right now. Shale gas. There are just so many opportunities out there. We finally got the autos corrected, and labor had to give a little and decide that it was good to have the companies doing well, and Ford is booming, GM is booming. We need to give encouragement. We got so much money trapped overseas. We got $1 trillion. If we could repatriate with the criteria that if you repatriate it at a 0 tax or 15% tax, you have to invest in factories, jobs, and the economy.
Bill, you mentioned the money overseas, but when you talk to the CEOs out there and they're talking about what they're trying to do right now, and we all talk about the gridlock in Washington, how much of that discussion is now going to the gridlock overseas, the concerns about the euro, the concerns about things that are well beyond the shores of the U.S.?
Well, I think the euro concerns is way overplayed. Yes, they're concerned. The European banks are not their issue. Their issue is, do I invest in Asia, Brazil, or the United States? And frankly, we're not giving them a lot of incentives to invest in the U.S., so they're saying, productivity, even if I have to cut jobs, I'm moving jobs overseas. But every time they try to invest here, somebody gets in their way. And so, frankly, if I were the president, I'd say, I'd take my new Secretary of the Commerce, John Bryson, who's a terrific businessman, very clear. I'd put him in charge of jobs, innovation, and exports, and tell him to go be the red tape buster to get business investing here and bring the government people together that are standing in the way. Right now, generic drugs, 2,400 generics at the FDA, can't get approved that are off patent. Why not get this stuff moving instead of trying to get in everyone's way?
Yeah.
Business wants to invest, but we got to let them.
Absolutely, we have to let them. But Wendy, what do you do when you gather your employees together and you try to give them some kind of pep talk? I mean, obviously you don't want to talk it up unfairly. What do you say to them that is candid and honest?
Sure. Well, we can be candid and honest and say that sales are growing, assets are very strong, earnings are strong, and we have no capital issues. 2 years ago, there were hundreds of millions of dollars of capital erased through valuation declines. There was a liquidity crisis. That's just not the case today. We're in Iowa, and so we look at the issues in Europe, and it's a spectator sport for us. Things are very strong here. And
so it doesn't affect you, bottom line, except for the fact that it's helping to push down interest rates, and that's something that you're concerned about.
Absolutely. We're selling to a retirement market. They're interested in income, not necessarily asset valuations. They're not interested in bank stocks or tech stocks. They're interested in safety and guaranteed lifetime income, and that's hard to come by. You're going to find it from gold, for example.
Today, Wendy? Where do you get income?
Yeah.
Herb's been asking this question for months on the program because he's desperate for income. Wendy, where do you get it these days?
Well, it's really tough. You know, Treasuries, 10-year Treasury today went below 2%. That's absolutely appalling. So the low interest rate environment is a huge problem. You know, I hear all this talk of gold, and you know, clearly you aren't going to get income from gold. We sell annuity products, and fixed rates on annuity products are low. Indexed rates are more attractive, but that's one alternative, and an alternative that's getting some growing attention. But it's tough to find income. You know, there's a lot of talk of the financial instability, but you know, corporate America is strong, and corporate bonds and fixed income investments, while they're not paying very much, relatively speaking, I think they're still attractive.
Okay, Wendy, thank you very much for that. To both of you, unfortunately, we've run out of time, but to both of you, thank you so much for joining us. We'll